Ella coming in this afternoon, or she gonna be?
She's coming here. She said she'll be here. I didn't think she was gonna come in either.
I'm about to watch this Zoom. We at the courthouse. I'm gonna call you when it's over, bro. Okay. I know this is long. I'm fucking long like this. I gotta zoom back out.
Put your system on mute, please.
I don't. Yeah. Yeah, because if you. Yeah, if you want that.
For exhibits, is it okay if I mark them or do you want to mark them or how do you look at them?
One here and one over there. Now, as far as the attorneys, right here,
Yeah, that's all. I don't know how to, each have to make that work, we have some kind of situation, you know, there.
That's what I'm saying. We're just hearing what they say, I guess. Right.
Okay. I don't know how
Please,
to
and
talk to them.
they have some pictures as we go through it. Is that okay?
That right. This is the order, one in.
Whichever order does it.
Okay.
several much.
Oh, I know what it is. You got another one?
Just those two.
You don't have another one?
Another copy?
For me? want to run?
This was easier. No, it's okay. It's just, it was digital originally, so I can just print out the one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
That in here. Whoa.
Hello?
Put your system on mute, please.
The ID number.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Put your system on mute.
I just had a quick question because I'm late, so I wanted to see if I was still able to come to my court date.
I don't know, who are you?
My name is Marquise Gwen. I had a Zoom for traffic court today.
Marquise, what?
My name is Marquise Gwen. I'm kind of like an hour and a half late. It was at 12:50. I mean, like 1:15. I'm sorry, hour late.
Not in this courtroom. You're in the wrong courtroom.
Do you know which courtroom I'm supposed to be in?
I have no idea. What was it for?
I only had traffic tickets. This is the number that's popping up on my Zoom. I'm sorry, my Zoom ID number. This is the number it's giving me.
Well, this deals with felonies, criminal felonies.
Okay.
Ms. Hogan? Ms. Hogan? Is Sherry
I can't hear you.
Yes,
gonna eat? Put your system, take your video off.
I did. Okay, I just moved the plate out the way. I was finishing up.
All right, thank you. Okay. Have you heard from them at all? Have you heard from anybody?
Nope. The other one was on earlier.
She just came in the
Yeah,
door.
She did?
Yeah. I went back out.
What about Mr. Greenwood?
Haven't seen him.
No.
Nope. Thorns out. I had to sit out to do his attorney.
The name Thornton. Put on speaker. So you can hear it.
The speaker.
Bluetooth. Don't you?
Why don't you have this gal come on in? I think there's something really out there. You can come on and do the court. Sorry, late.
Where the prosecutor She appeared to be on the phone with another judge. Yeah.
Sir, can I finish this homicide that I'm doing and just Van Houten to call me right now?
Sure.
It's just 2 minutes.
All right. Okay.
Judge, I said, please, Judge.
Ms. Allen?
How long she say, Judge?
2 minutes.
Oh. Thank you, Mike. Yes, ma'am. Judge, this is what I told that court. I said, this court starts on time. I said, this court says 2 is 2. You said 1, and it's 2. Get me all worked. How's everybody? So how does this work again?
I know.
My client is in.
Her client.
So why my client don't sit back here? That's where he has to
Sit right
sit.
behind you, yeah.
So where's the other one sit?
Further over. Not all the way, but at least 6 feet.
I need me another mask. What I mean, man?
You see the prosecutor out
Yeah, she's out there.
You gonna get?
Yeah, I'm going to get
Are you gonna play the video?
All right, I need everybody that's on Zoom to put your systems on mute. We hear all your background noises and keep it quiet. And if it disrupts this proceeding, I'm just gonna close it all out and you can go on YouTube and watch it.
Yeah, I'm about to get you. I'm about to get you.
Whoever's driving.
Yes. 82315.
Is the other attorney gonna sit up here? He gonna sit back here? I don't wanna put my. my stuff right here.
I'm sorry. The second one. And And Judge, I just want to let the court know, my two witnesses accidentally went to Frank Murphy instead of this building, so they're on their way over now. They should be here any minute. I apologize.
Let's get started. We can do the preliminary.
Two witnesses, can I give you a minute? I'm sorry.
What?
You had the protocol, was that, what number was that?
So number one is the certified register. And number two is the money report.
Okay, I got that. Thank you.
73 is certified conviction and the money report.
What do you mean we're on shit? You can't sit down here. No, I just stand up. I know. Yeah, sure. Hold on one second, let me, oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Okay, so. No. You're fine over there. Now, look, I'm gonna put my fan on, no offense, but, you know, this new area is so contagious, not saying mad, but, you know, 6 feet is 6 feet. Y'all want me over here? I can be here. Is that okay with y'all? Is it okay with you? My stuff is gonna be right there. I only need to be there for a minute. Yeah, so. Here you go. Sit down. I refuse to be a martyr to this virus. So this is this. Have you read if I sit here?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I could have been on the coronavirus task force. Here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, no, okay, I can cross the street. They were just going across the street. Oh, that's Billy, baby.
I was going to see you like I got a head.
That's all right, be cute.
I'm so sorry.
We all cute. You here, we have all. In case nobody knew it, I'm a germaphobe. I got, you need some lights? I've always been, I got lights, I got all that. Oh, okay. Lights on. I've been in this building every day this week has been open. Okay, so I just need my highlighter. You good? You good over here? You got everything you need? Yeah, we want to take your wall.
Calling case number 20-57707, the people of the state of Michigan versus Darnell Robinson. Defendant number 1 is charged with count 1, homicide, murder, first degree premeditated. Count 2, count 3, assault with intent to murder. Count 4, weapons, firearms, possession by a felon. Count 5, count 6, count 7, count 8, weapons, felony, firearm, habitual offender, second notice. The people of the state of Michigan versus Edward Thorin. Defendant number 2 is charged with Count 1, homicide, murder, first degree premeditated. Count 2, count 3, assault with intent to murder. Count 5, weapons felony firearm. Count 6, weapons felony firearm. Count 7, weapons felony firearm. These matters are scheduled for examination.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Anna Vickers, staff on behalf of the people, PA 2215.
Judge, good afternoon to you and your staff. Lillian Diallo, P52036, on behalf of Mr. Robinson, who is present behind me. Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
And greetings, Your Honor. Let me bring on behalf of Mr. Torres, P56556. Ready to proceed. All right.
Ask for an order of sequestration.
And Judge, I would ask for an exception for my officer in charge, and I would also ask for an exception for the victim's mother, who is watching over YouTube. The people expect her only testimony, if she testifies at the trial, to be at the identification of the fatal victim.
Judge, I guess the only issue is after I reviewed all of the discovery, there may be, because of her daughter, she may be a witness. And that's the second daughter.
She is the mother of Jamaica Fulton, and the people do expect, if she testifies, to identify Miss Fulton.
I understand what you're saying, but Judge, this was a lengthy investigation. There's a lot of discovery, so she may be a witness at the trial. I just want to let the court know, based on her second daughter, she may be a witness, the one that went to the police.
We would join in that objection.
The one that's alive. And my
Any
condolences to
objection
her.
to also in charge of me?
None.
I'm sorry? Any objection to the officer in charge of me? Oh, no, sir. All right, any of our witnesses testifying today at trial or any future hearing must leave the courtroom. That includes Zoom and YouTube. Or be denied that future testimony. An exception to the officer in charge. We have a number of people that are on Zoom. A lot of people. Is that right? You have a Miss Gail Fulton? She a witness?
The mother's name, I believe, is Edna Fulton.
Okay, well, let me do it this way.
So, yeah.
I'll do it by now.
Yeah.
Miss Gail Fulton, can you unmute yourself for a second, please?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ma'am, are you a witness in this matter anyway?
No, I am not a witness.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Hogan, Miss Sherry Hogan, are you a possible witness in this case?
Sherry. No, I'm not. The second girl is my sister, Darshina Hogan. That's my sister.
Okay.
Darshina Hogan is not Edna Hogan's daughter.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Uh-huh.
The person that listed under is it Janquita Fulton? You unmute yourself, please. You familiar with the name?
Yes, I'm about to look right now, Judge. Could you say the first name?
Janquita, Janequua Fulton.
The identifying witness is Edna Hogan, is the mother of Miss
Okay,
Jamaica
I
Fulton.
understand. I'm trying to identify who's on Zoom so I could, get them off Zoom if they're a possible witness. So it doesn't interfere with proceedings down the road.
I believe, Judge, I know there's going to be a Fulton, and it begins with a J, that will be a witness in this particular case. She is the sister of the unfortunate deceased in this matter.
But definitely her name is Jamie
Jamie.
Fulton,
Okay.
but the people
Okay.
at this time don't intend to call her as a witness, but I understand.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
I live in that.
If that's Jamie Fulton.
Well, they're not responding, so I don't know. So we got about 5 seconds and I'm just gonna block them. Person under the phone number of our system, Janequua Fulton. I need you to unmute yourself and put your video on, please. Thank you. May I have your name, please?
Can't hear.
says, connecting the audio. Are you connected now? Ma'am, are you also known as Janie Fulton? If you shake your head yes or no, I can see you. Person on my name that has listed under Jasmine, can you unmute yourself and put your video on, please? Okay, got turn those other systems off. Ma'am, what's your name, please?
Jasmine Fulton.
Are you a possible witness in this case?
No, I'm the sister of Jamaica Fulton.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, the person that has the phone that says Janiqua Fulton, can you unmute yourself? Put the video on, please. Person that has is listed under Janiqua Fulton. Unmute yourself and put your video on, please. If you don't unmute yourself, I'm gonna have to take you out of the room.
Jasmine Fulton. Janiqua just texted me and said she can't hear you guys. And she's trying to connect, but it seems to not be working for her.
Okay, I need to know who it is, who that person is.
Fulton is the sister of Jamaica Fulton as well.
What's her name? What's her name?
Janiqua Fulton.
She was under the name Janiqua Fulton though on Zoom, correct? Oh, she don't know. All right. Next person under the name of ABA Robinson. Can you unmute yourself? Put your video on, please. Ma'am, your name, please?
Java Robinson.
Ms. Robinson, are you a possible witness in this matter?
I'm not a witness.
Okay, thank you. You can remute yourself. Person that's listed under the name Goats and Apes. It says Goats and Apes. Can you unmute yourself, please, and put your video on? Sir, take your hat off first. Good morning.
How's it going?
Okay, sir, what's your name?
Bakari Lewis.
Are you a possible witness in this case, Mr. Lewis?
No.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. Person on the name Dina, can you mute yourself, put your video on, please? Oh, okay. state your name, ma'am?
Gina Danish.
Are you a possible witness in this case, ma'am?
No, I'm Darnell's mom.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can you, wait, I couldn't hear you. My court reporter couldn't hear you. You said you're who? When I asked you, were you witness?
Darnell, no, I'm not a witness. I'm Darnell's mom.
Darnell's mom. Darnell Robinson's mom.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
All right, the person that's under Darnell, I think it's Tompkin. Can you mute yourself? Turn your video on, please.
Hello,
Yes, sir. What's your name?
Darnell Tompkins.
And are you a possible witness in this case, sir?
No, I'm not.
Okay, thank you. Put it back on mute. Person with the phone number 586-696-0751. Can you mute yourself? Put your video on, please.
Hello, Persiana Sexton.
You say that one more time, please?
Persiana Sexton.
Are you a possible witness in this case?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and the last, the person with the telephone number 313-721-7008. Can you unmute yourself and put the video on, please?
That was me, yeah.
Oh, okay. You're in there twice?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, that's okay. All right, we'll ask all of you to please put your systems on mute. Because we end up getting a lot of background noise. Okay, are we ready to begin?
Yes, Judge. At this time, sorry.
Go ahead.
At this time, the people would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit number 1, which is a certified register of actions for Ronald Robinson pursuant to MCL 76611B. At this time, the people would move for admission of people's proposed exhibit number 1.
What is it? Oh, did she already say something? I'm sorry, Judge.
Yeah, she said it's a certified register of action on Mr. Darnell Robinson.
Oh, it's a prior conviction, is that what it is?
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. At this time, we will stipulate. Thank you.
All right, you admit it.
Thank you, Judge. And this time, the people would also move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit number 2, the medical examiner's report pursuant to MCL 76611B.
Any objection?
No, Judge, I could object, but there's no reason under the court rule where it would be an objection allowed, so no.
All right. No objection on behalf of Mr. All right, thank you. You admit it.
Thank you, Judge. And this time, the people would call James Mathis to the stand.
Well, let me see the medical examiner's report.
Oh, sorry, Judge. May I approach?
Yes,
Okay. Is Detective Ryan here?
All right, sorry, please, wait.
Thank you, Judge. This time the people called James Mathis.
Right here, Mr. Matthews. Just turn towards. Raise your hand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, please hold the board towards you. You got to there, Mr. Mathis. One second. All right, Mr. Mathis, you're gonna be asked a series of questions. First by the prosecutor, and then each of the defense attorneys will probably ask you a question. And I may or may not ask you some questions. You have to answer all your questions out loud verbally using words. Just can't shake your head or say, you have to say yes, no, whatever the answer is, okay? Also, when you ask the question, please just answer that question and stop. If it's a yes or no question, just say yes or no. If they need additional information, they'll just ask another question, all right? Also, we all have a tendency when we're talking about something, especially something that's happened to us that is traumatic, we tend to ramble. We'll say this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened. If you do that, I'm gonna miss something. If I miss something, I might not make the right decision. All right? I don't know anything about this case. Only thing I know about this case is its name and what the charge is. Now I know your name. That's all I know. I get all my information from what happened in court. One question, one answer at a time. That way I can understand it. Okay? All right. And last but not least, because of the mask and the barriers and all that, I need you to please try to keep your voice up so that we can hear you. All right? You can talk directly into that microphone right there. That will help amplify your voice. All right, thank you. All right, may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Can you please state your name?
My name is Mathis.
And Mr. Mathis, do you recall the date of May 24th, 2020?
Yes.
And is that date significant to you in any way?
Yes.
What's the significance of that day?
That's my birthday.
Okay. And back on that day, were you celebrating in any way?
Yes.
And were you celebrating in the evening time?
Yes.
Okay, where were you in the evening of your birthday?
At my cousin's house.
And what's your cousin's name?
Arkansas.
And who else were you with?
My sisters. It was a lot of us. My sisters.
What are your sisters' names?
Ashley, Jamaica, Jamie.
And where were you located at the house?
Where was I located? At the house?
Yes.
I was at the house.
You were inside the house?
Yeah.
Okay, and does there become a point of time when you're outside the house in the driveway?
At my cousin's house?
Yes.
No.
Okay, then tell me what comes next after you're at your cousin's house.
After we left my cousin's house, that's when me and my other cousin went to my sister's house.
Okay, can you give the names of those people, you and which cousin?
Me and Darsheen Hope.
Go to your sister's house, what's your sister's name?
Food.
Okay, and do you go inside the house?
No.
Explain what you do when you get to your sister's house.
We sit on the side of the house, me and Darsheen was talking.
Okay, and how did you get to that house?
I drove.
Okay, what kind of vehicle were you driving?
A Yukon.
Okay, where was that vehicle parked?
On the side of the house.
Explain what happens next.
What happens next is I see the defendant, both of them, comes to the house.
Objection, Your Honor, this is the narrative, and it's supposed to be. I need to take my question and answer, and I don't need to know. I understand he went to his sister's house, I don't know where it is.
Okay,
Can
you explain?
Jurisdiction.
Yes.
Okay.
Where's your sister's house located?
My sister's house is located on Blackmore Street.
Okay, and you
I
had,
was parked on Lyndhurst Street.
okay, thank you.
That's the side.
And you had indicated that 2 individuals showed, is that correct?
Yes.
And you see those individuals today?
Yes.
What do you know those individuals by? What names?
Ace, and, Edward.
Do you know their government names?
That's all I know is Ace and Edward.
Okay.
Now I know they got their names, but at the time,
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, young man. Ace, and what was the last one?
Edward.
Edward? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Ace, let's start with Ace. How long have you known Ace?
I really don't know.
Have you seen him before this
Yes.
date?
Yes,
How many times have you seen him before this date?
maybe 4 or 5 times.
Okay, would you recognize Ace if you saw him again?
Yes,
Okay. And you said a person named Edward, is that correct? How long have you known Edward?
for a few months.
And how do you know him?
He was dating my sister,
What's your sister's name?
Jamaica Wilson.
And that's the sister whose house you were at?
Yes,
Okay. And how many times have you seen Edward before this date?
I saw Edward quite a few times.
Okay, you would recognize him if you saw him again?
Yes,
Okay, do you see Edward in the courtroom today?
yes.
Could you describe what he's wearing and where he's seated?
He got on a yellow button up
Where's he seated?
right there.
For the record, please reflect the witness has identified the defendant in this case.
Record showing.
And,
Defendant Edward Ford.
thank you. And the individual you mentioned, Ace, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you please describe what they're wearing and where they're seated?
He has on the green county outfit with the afro.
For the record, please reflect the witness has identified the defendant Darnell Robinson.
Record showing.
Thank you. How did these individuals arrive at your sister's house?
They drove.
Objection foundation.
I believe he testified that these two individuals showed up to the house. I was asking how many.
No, you gave an answer. I'm just saying foundation, Judge. How did they, you want me to do it? Did you see him come up? And you saw him come up, what did they come up in?
How they got there, or did you just see him walk up?
They was in a 300 seat.
And did you see them arrive at the house?
Yes,
Okay.
they got out and walked to the door.
Okay. Were there any other individuals in the vehicle?
Yes, it was a female.
Okay. So which two individuals do you see get out of the vehicle?
I seen Edward and Darnell get out of the vehicle and go to the door and start knocking.
Okay, and what happens next?
My sister did not come to the door. She didn't answer the door.
Okay, and what happens next?
So they left or whatever and
I'm
came.
gonna stop you for a minute. So those two individuals leave you.
Yes,
How do they leave? Do you see them leave?
I believe, yes,
How do they leave the
in the
location?
car.
In that same Chrysler 300?
Yes,
And where are you when this is happening?
I'm still on the side of the house.
Okay. Who's with you when this is happening?
Garcina Hope.
Okay. And what happens next?
Next, they had bagged them, blocked them in.
I'm gonna stop you. When you say they, who do you mean?
Edward and Darnell.
Okay.
They came back to the house after they left. It wasn't that long after.
Okay, and how do you see them arrive to the house?
Yes,
How did they arrive to the house?
they drove
What car are they driving?
300,
Okay,
300 seats.
okay. And what happens next?
So as they pulling back up, I was on my way to drop my cousin off. I had to end up backing up and blocking them in the driveway to get out.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you there and ask for a little more clarification.
Okay.
So when they arrived to the house the second time, where do they park?
Back in the back, in the back of the house.
And where are you at this point?
At this point, I don't back up and block them in the driveway because I want to know what's going on. And when I get out the car, I see the defendant Edward in the back seat, drunk. And Ace was trying to help him get out the car, which he did help him get out the car, and they proceeded banging on the door. Whatever happened while they was at the door, all I know is the defendant Ace came back and told me to move my effing car out the way.
So would it be fair to say, based on where your vehicle is, that the defendant's vehicle couldn't exit the property?
Yes.
Okay. And what happens next?
After that, after we had our words, we ended up fighting.
Okay, you and who?
Ace.
Okay. Were any weapons involved in that fight?
No, not that I recall.
Okay, explain what happens next.
Okay, we fight or whatever. somehow, some way, I don't know if they tried to jump me already.
No, just tell me what happened. You don't need to speculate on why. So you're in a fight with Ace, correct?
Yes.
What happens next?
What happens next, somebody moved my car out their way. We
And
stopped
where's that
fighting.
car moved to?
I'm back on the side of the house.
Okay, would that be on the street?
Yes, that was my Yukon.
Okay. And what happens after your car gets moved?
We stopped fighting, they pulled off.
When you say they pull off, you.
Edward and, Ace.
Okay, how did you see them leave?
Yes,
How did they leave the location?
they drove off into the other seat.
Okay, and that's the same vehicle they had been in
Yes.
previously? And what happens after that vehicle pulls off?
I can't give you a time frame, but all I know, I just see Ace and Edward.
I'm gonna stop you. Are you, when they
When they pulled off, I didn't see the car anymore.
okay, and where are you still at your sister's
Yes,
house?
I'm still on there.
Okay, and who are you with?
At this time, it's me, Darcina, Hogan, and Nico Fools in the car, because the vehicle came out the house when we started and break it up.
Okay. So at some point, did the three of you leave that location?
No,
At some point, did the three of you get into your vehicle?
yes,
Okay, what happens after you get into your vehicle?
we sitting there, we was talking about the situation, and that's what it all happened. The next thing I know, I see Edward and Ace in the middle of the street.
Okay, so I'm
And
gonna,
you can see them clear as day because there's a light.
Your Honor, I'm objecting as to the non-responsive nature of the question and the narrative. I would ask that it be by question and answer.
Main objection is to the narrative.
Thank you.
See by question and answer. Non-responsive is actually her objection.
I know, Judge, but you don't, one of the only judges that really know that, but okay.
so you had indicated that you three are in the vehicle, correct?
Yeah, I was.
You and Miss
Darcina and Jamaica.
are inside the vehicle, correct? Where are you seated?
I'm in the front driver's seat.
Okay, who is in the passenger seat?
Darcina Hogan is in the passenger seat, and Jamaica Fulton is in behind.
Okay, how long are you in the vehicle before something catches your attention?
It wasn't as long because we still was talking about the situation. I'll say
When you say a situation, what do you mean?
the fight that happened.
Between,
Me and Darcina.
okay. Now, you're in the vehicle, and what happens next? What do you observe?
I observed when I look up, I see them in the middle of the street.
Now, I'm gonna stop you. When you say you see them in the middle of the
I
street.
see Edward and Darnell in the middle of the street.
Okay, and about how far away were you from them?
I want to say 10, 15 feet.
Okay, and you said you saw them with guns, is that correct?
Yes.
And what was the lighting like in the area?
It was a street light. It was a street light. It was right there on the corner.
Okay, so what happens after you see them in the street?
They started shooting. That's when I started reversing. They
Okay.
saw me reversing. I guess they started with
I'm gonna object just to the speculation.
Okay, hold on.
Just one second.
Hold on, please.
Objection, speculation.
Okay. We get into a narrative again. Again, Mr. Mathis, if you go on, just gotta answer the question at the top and let her answer the next question. That way I can follow it. Because if you get into too much, this happened, we're back to where I'm gonna miss something. Okay? So they were roughly 10, 15 feet away, and there was a street light there, and then the shooting started.
So about how many gunshots do you hear?
I wanted to be 15, 20.
And what do you do when you first hear the gunshots?
I threw my car in reverse.
Okay, and what happened?
I tried to reverse, going out the way of the bullet. But my car ended up stopping.
Okay, do you know why your car ended up stopping?
I assume because one of the bullets.
Do you know? What goes on?
I already.
The car just stopped.
Yes.
Okay.
With that.
Okay, and do you see both Edward and Ace with guns?
Yes.
Okay, and what happens after you put the car in reverse and it stops?
It stopped. I waited in a situation for 15 took 10 seconds. I jumped off the car and I went to the neighbor's house and started beating on the door.
And do you see where Ace and Edward go?
So
When is the first time you see them in the street?
when we was talking,
Did you see how they got to that location, or they just?
I'm not sure how they got to the location. Like I said, we was talking and I just so happened to look up and saw them.
Okay. Now, you had said you got out of the vehicle and you were banging on the doors for help, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What happens next?
I hit a lady in there. She called 911 for me. When she called 911, I ran back to the car. I grabbed Sheena out the car. I let her on the ground and told her.
Your Honor, once again, she's going there.
She asked me.
Hold on. Wait for the question, please.
Okay.
You went back to the car.
At some point, you go back to the car, correct?
Yes.
And what do you do when you get back to the vehicle?
I pulled Sheena out the car and let her on the ground.
And what condition was she in?
She was bleeding. She was shot up.
Okay. And do you go to where Miss Fulton is seated in the vehicle?
Yes.
And what is her condition?
She shot up, but I'm not sure where.
Okay.
Because she's unresponsive.
And at some point, did the police arrive?
Yeah.
And what happens after the police arrive?
When the police arrived, they pulled me off of my sister. Got her out the car. That was it. They put me in the car. That was it. The ambulance took her away.
Were you injured at all?
I just had like cuts.
Okay. And were you able to see, did your vehicle have any damage as a result of this?
Yes.
Could you explain that?
It was bullet hole.
Where?
In the front passenger window, in the front of the hood, just the front of the car.
Oh, she had a picture? She had a picture. Ms. Bickerstaff, if you're gonna use any other pictures, if you know in advance, if you could show us. So that we can write it on my phone. Thank you. So if you could mark which one, the number, so that I can know which one you're referring to.
Yes, absolutely. You want me to read the numbers or? Okay. 4. And Mr. Mathis, do you later learn of the condition? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Oh.
You were. Get my finger.
Okay, Mr. Matt?
A new one?
No, they're just marked.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine.
May I approach the witness judge? Mr. Mathis, I'm going to approach you with what's marked as people's proposed exhibit number 3, 4, 5, and 6. You could take a look at those. Did you take a look at those 4 pictures?
Yes, I did.
Do you recognize that vehicle?
Yes.
How do you recognize that vehicle?
Okay, let's do it one at a time. Yeah,
I apologize, Judge. So can you go to exhibit number 3, please? Okay, do you recognize that vehicle?
Yes.
How do you recognize that vehicle?
My vehicle.
And is there any damage in that picture?
Yes.
Was that damage there before May 24th?
No.
Okay. Does that picture fairly and accurately depict your vehicle and the damage that occurred?
Yes.
At this time, the people would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit number 3.
Any objection? No objection regarding.
Just so the record is clear, if you could say what exhibit 3 shows, is it the front, the middle, or the back of the vehicle? Because I think there are different shots. So is that the front?
It's the front passenger.
Front, thank you so much. Without objection, with that clarification, front passenger.
Okay, you good.
And can you please go to exhibit number 4? And do you recognize what's in that picture?
Yes.
And what's in that picture?
A gunshot.
I'm sorry?
A gunshot.
Is there a vehicle in that picture?
Yes.
Do you recognize that vehicle?
Yes.
How do you recognize that vehicle?
My vehicle.
Okay. And is there damage to that vehicle?
Yes.
And did that damage occur on or after the date of May 24th, 2020?
Yes.
And could you describe what angle of the vehicle you're looking at in that exhibit?
The passenger side door.
Okay, and could you explain the damage you see in that picture?
Moving on.
And does that picture fairly and accurately depict your vehicle and the damage that was done?
Yes.
At this time, the people would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit number 4.
Without objection.
No objection, Your Honor. Right, you did it.
Can you look at exhibit number 5, please? Okay, do you recognize that picture?
Yes.
What's in that picture?
The inside from the passenger side. The driver's side.
Of what vehicle?
The Yukon.
Your Yukon?
Yes.
Okay, and is there damage in that picture?
Yes.
Was that damage there on or after May 24th, 2020?
Yes.
And does that picture fairly and accurately depict your vehicle and the damage that was done to your vehicle?
Yes.
At this time, the people would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit number 5.
Without objection, I'm sorry, Judge.
No objection, Your Honor.
Can you please look at picture number 6? Do you recognize that picture?
Yes.
And what's in that picture?
The hood of the car.
Of what car?
My car. The Yukon.
And is there any damage depicted in that
Yes.
picture? Can you describe that damage?
Moving on.
And was that damage done on or after May 24th, 2020?
Yes.
And does that picture fairly and accurately depict your vehicle and the damage that was done?
Yes.
At this time, the people would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit number 6.
Without objection, Judge.
No objection, Your Honor. You did.
May I approach the witness?
And if I didn't say it, just for exam purposes only.
It is for example.
Thank you.
And Mr.
One
Mathis?
second, let me
Oh, sorry.
read you first. Okay.
And Mr. Mathis, do you at some point truth, you learned of the condition of your sister, Jamaica Fulton?
Yes.
And what do you learn?
She passed.
People would pass the witness.
Go ahead.
Sir, you say you were out celebrating your birthday, correct?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say you were drinking?
Yes.
How much were you drinking?
Maybe like a pint.
A pint of what?
Vodka.
Pint of vodka? Would it be fair to say you were intoxicated?
Yes.
You say you saw Mr. Thoran pull up in a car. He was drunk, correct?
Yes.
How you know he was drunk?
Because he was laid out in the back seat.
He was laid out. So he didn't get out?
Yes, at a point in time he did.
You talk to him?
I tried to talk to him. He wasn't saying nothing to me. He was drunk.
Would it be fair to say he was highly intoxicated?
Yes.
Sir, after the incident, you spoke with police, right?
Yes.
Isn't it correct that you told them you didn't know who shot? You didn't know, you couldn't identify the second shooter, correct?
I never remember saying that.
Well, at some point later, did you tell the police that they were under a light and you
Mr. Greenwood, are you impeaching with the statement, or what are you impeaching with? Because you just, right now, you're impeaching with hearsay. I don't know where it's coming from.
He made a statement.
This is a written statement.
He made a statement which was adopted on the search warrant.
Which was adopted on what?
On the affidavit for the search warrant. In which he maintained he didn't know the shooter. And then he came back later.
Well, no. Well, first of all, he doesn't make any statements on a search warrant. A police officer makes a statement on a search warrant. Now, the police officer does it based on his knowledge and belief of what the facts were. Now, where he got that information from, I don't know. But it's not him. So you can't impeach him with someone else's statement.
Understood. So you never said that you didn't know who the second shooter was. Is that what you're saying now?
Yes, I never said.
You never said that to the police.
Never said that.
You never told the police.
Never told.
That's another question.
Don't ask. Finish the question before you are.
You never told the police that you must have been caught up in excitement, and that's why you said what you told me. You never said that statement out.
I never said that.
I'm begging the question. How long was Mr. Thoran in the vehicle, you say?
Can you repeat that?
At the party. How long?
At what party?
When you saw Mr. Thoran drunk in the backseat of the car. Okay? Good. How long was he in the vehicle?
I'm not sure. It wasn't that long.
And you said you tried to speak with him?
Yes.
What did you try to say to him?
I was trying to say, bro, you all right? You good?
And he was not responsive?
Yeah.
So did you have a weapon that day? Did you have a weapon, sir?
No.
Sir, how many times did you speak with the police about this case?
Not sure, a few times. I was home.
Did you speak to them that night?
Yes,
Did you speak to them a couple days later?
yes,
When you spoke to them that night, you were still intoxicated, weren't you?
yes.
Now, you had told Madam Prosecutor that you believe that Mr. Thorne and Mr. Robinson left in the 300. Isn't that what you said?
They left in 300.
Did you see them leave?
Yes,
Well, you told her you believe they left.
yeah, I did say that they left
Well, why would you say you believe?
because it's all coming back to me. Like,
Oh, it's coming back to you now?
no, it's coming back to me, period. Like, I don't really try to forget.
So did you see them leave?
Yes,
How long were you all sitting in your vehicle?
I'm not sure.
Can you estimate?
I'll say 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
How long was it between the time that you alleged that Mr. Thorne and Mr. Robinson left till when shots were fired?
Or 2 or 3 minutes.
About 2 or 3 minutes?
Yes,
So your claim is that they left and came back in 2 or 3 minutes?
yes.
When you saw them at the gathering of your sisters,
They was never there. They was never at the gathering.
well, when you had locked their vehicle, you saw Mr. Thorne in the backseat intoxicated, right? Do you see them with weapons?
No,
When you had the altercation, was any weapons involved in that?
no.
As far as the altercation, who broke up the fight?
My sister. I want to say my sister and my cousin.
Can you name them?
Jamaica and Nursing Home.
Are you sure that's who broke it up?
Yes,
You're still intoxicated at this point, correct?
yes,
So someone else could help break up the fight, correct?
yes.
So you're not sure, correct?
I'm sure.
Well,
Because it wasn't nobody else there. I mean,
why just ask you, could somebody else have helped break up the fight?
somebody else could have.
Well, do you know?
No,
Why don't you know?
because I don't know if they did or didn't. That's how I don't know.
Well, you were there, correct?
Yes,
Your eyes were open, correct?
yes,
You were in the altercation, correct?
yes.
So why don't you know who helped break up the fight?
I told you who broke the fight.
Sir, you alleged that you were sitting in the vehicle for 2 or 3 minutes speaking with your sister,
Yes,
Right.
my cousin.
your cousin. And then out of nowhere, you see 2 assailants with guns.
Yes.
Can you describe the guns?
No, I cannot.
You saw them, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Why can't you describe them?
Because it's dark. I can see a figure, but I can't see what kind is it? Like,
That's fair, because it was dark, correct?
yes,
You couldn't make out what type of gun it was, correct?
yes,
But you're alleging that you saw these individuals
yes,
but you couldn't make out the gun.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Yes, I couldn't make out the gun.
You know, the long gun, short gun?
I couldn't make out the gun.
Then you allege that you backed away, correct?
Yes.
How far did you get?
Maybe 10 feet from where I was starting.
10 feet?
Yes.
And then the car stopped?
Yes.
One moment, guys. Sir, during the shooting incident, you didn't see the assailants arrive, did you?
No, I was talking. I would have had that.
So you don't know if they were on a vehicle, if they were in a vehicle or on foot, correct?
Correct.
Now, what was the side street you were at?
Lyndhurst.
Lyndhurst on what?
Blackmore.
Not Eastwood?
No, it's in between. It's Eastwood and Blackwood. I mean Blackmore in between, but I'm closer to Blackmore.
You close to Blackmore?
Yes.
Which way did Blackmore run? East and west or north and south?
East and west.
And the other street you were on was
Lyndhurst, north or south.
You were on Lyndhurst?
Yes.
And that runs north and south?
Yes.
And you're saying you were closer to Blackmore?
Yes.
How far were you from the corner of Blackmore and Lyndhurst?
Maybe 10, 15 feet.
10 or 15 feet?
Yes.
How many houses?
No, it's not even a house.
So you were on the corner?
Basically, but not the corner. The house is the corner house.
The house that you were at?
Yes.
Is the corner house?
Yes.
Where was your vehicle parked at this time?
On the side of the house on Lyndhurst.
So you were parked at the side of the house?
On the side of the house, yes.
When the shots were fired, I thought you were in the street.
Ain't the car in the street?
I'm asking you.
Were
you in the street?
Was who in the street?
Were your vehicle in the street?
Yeah, I was parked.
I thought you said you were parked on the side of the house.
That's the street.
House is a corner house. The street right there.
I understand.
Okay.
You had blocked in their vehicle. Where were you parked?
In the driveway. In the back of the house.
Is the house on Lyndhurst or Blackmore?
It's on both. It's a corner house. It's on both.
Which way is the front facing?
It's the front is facing Blackmore.
The front is facing Blackmore?
Yeah, the front of the house. The back of the house is on Lyndhurst.
That would be the side of the house.
The side of the house. The back, the side, however you want to put it.
That's how you put it.
Okay, okay, stop.
I'm sorry.
Ask the question, ask the question.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. So your testimony is you pulled out of the driveway and pulled on the.
I didn't pull out no driveway. What are you asking?
When your vehicle had allegedly blocked in,
Yes.
who pulled your vehicle out?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Who had the keys?
The keys was in the car.
So you didn't see who moved your car?
I want to say ever moved
No.
it, but I'm not 100%.
Only tell me what you know.
No,
So you don't know who moved your car?
No.
Because you didn't see it, correct?
No.
Now, how long after your vehicle was moved did the defendants leave? How long was it till they left after your vehicle was moved?
They left shortly after.
Where were you when they left?
On the side of the house.
You were on the side of the house when your vehicle was moved, correct?
Yeah.
You didn't see who moved your vehicle, correct?
No.
Are you trying to say that you saw them leave?
Would you guys leave what, from the house?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, you didn't see who moved your vehicle, correct?
Correct.
I object, this is
We've
asking
gone
the
through this
answer.
like
Okay.
6 times
Okay,
already.
I'm moving on now.
Thank you.
And their car was parked in front of your car, correct?
Yes.
But you were claiming that you saw that vehicle leave within that.
Yes.
Nothing further for this.
I do, thank you. See, I don't know where you're staying. I want to make sure I'm socially distant.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, good afternoon, young man. My name is Lillian Yellow. I'm gonna ask you some questions. If you don't understand, please let me know and I'll do my best to clear it up, okay? If you give me an answer, I'm gonna assume you understood the question. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right, and let me say before we get started, I'm sincerely sorry for your loss. Okay, I have to ask the question, okay? I represent Mr. Robinson. You know, I don't know. It sounds like my iPad is doing something. I don't know what it's doing. It's doing something. Well, whatever it's gonna stop. But in any event, so that particular evening, you had a fight with who you know is Ace, correct?
Yes.
And when we say Ace, you said that was Darnell, right?
Yes.
All right, and you and Mr. Robinson made good after that. It was all over, correct?
Yes.
So at the time Mr. Robinson leaves, there's no beef between you and him, correct?
I'm not sure what another person thinking.
Right, but what you thought there was no more beef, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So this started at this location where your sister lived, correct?
Yes.
So there's a car, some kind of way you pulled in and blocked the car? Is that what happened? Is that how the altercation started?
Yes.
Okay. So you pull in, you block the car. You and Mr. Robinson, you have words,
Yes.
you exchange it, you fight like men do, and then it was over.
Yes.
You went your separate ways, correct?
Yes.
Your understanding was there was nothing else between you and Mr. Robinson, at least, right?
Not at that moment.
Okay, thank you. So, and then you indicate you don't know how the people you say got there, but then you looked up under a light and you see my client, you're saying shooting a gun.
Yes, I did. I looked up cause I was talking, so I wasn't paying attention.
I
just so
understand.
happened to turn my head and I see him.
Okay, when you say turn your head, so are you sitting still in the driveway with your nose, the front of the
No,
car?
I'm on the side on the side now. I'm on the side, the nose of the car is pointed towards Blackmore.
Okay, so when it's pointed towards Blackmore. Okay, so it's pointed towards Blackmore. So which way did you have to turn your head to see?
I'm in the front, but I had to turn to the left.
Okay, so you turn to the left.
Right, because I was talking, I turned to the left.
And can we agree, young man, that this happens relatively fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When the first shot hits, what do? Do you go down or do you stay up?
I stayed up, I put the car in reverse.
Okay, so you're trying to get out of there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now the person that you said was Mr. Robinson, Darnell, 8. Is that, you gotta say yes for me. The person you say was him, you had fought with him, so you knew what he looked like and all that, yes. Correct? Correct?
Yes.
All right. And how tall are you?
6'2".
6'2". And please don't think I'm being indelicate, because I done gained about 20 since the pandemic. How much did you weigh at that time?
200 pounds.
200, okay. So you're 6'2", 200 pounds. Got a pretty good size on you, huh?
Yes.
All right. So, after this shooting happens, you go to a neighbor's house, go to somebody's house to get help, correct?
Yes.
And then at some point in time, you talk to the police officers on the scene, correct?
Yes.
And when you're talking to the police officers on the scene, did they ask you what happened?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many police officers you had talked to on the scene?
I talked to the, it was the people that come for when shooting, then I talked to homicide.
Okay, so I guess, so the people that first responded, is that who you talked to?
Yes.
Okay, and then you talked to homicide, was that at the same time or a different time?
I talked to them that night and a different time.
Okay, so you talked to the first responders, correct?
Yes.
On the night of this unfortunate shooting, right? And then you talked to homicide as well?
Yes.
At the scene, correct?
Yes.
On the night of the shooting?
Yes.
All right. And when you were talking to the first responders, did you give them a description of who you felt was, who you saw doing the shooting?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever describe a person that was 5'4" and 194 pounds as Mr. Robinson?
No. I didn't describe nobody. They asked me, what did I know? I gave them their name. They showed me the pictures that night.
Just 1 second. And maybe Ms. Baker's staff doesn't understand this. She's nodding in affirmation, but I would ask that she stop so we can have a clear record, just in case she's not aware. Thank you. That's about the third time. Okay. So did you ever, and I'm being quite clear, tell the officers on the scene that there were 2 suspects?
Yes.
Okay. And suspect number 1, did you ever describe as a black male, 24 years of age?
I didn't describe nothing.
Okay. So you didn't say 5'4", 1. Oh, just 1 second. Yeah, and I just have to ask you this, okay? Okay, so did you ever tell the police that first suspect was 5'4", 194 pounds, and a medium complexion? Okay. Did you ever tell the responding officers that suspect number 2 was 5'6", slim, build, and dark complexion?
No.
Okay. Okay. And then, Mr. Mathis, you gave a statement, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your written statement given at the Detroit Police Department, or was it done by the phone?
I never did no written statement. They had a video recorder.
I'm sorry, say it again?
They had a video recorder.
Oh, okay, so was it like by Zoom? Or?
They recorded it.
Explain that to me, and I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm not understanding.
When I went down there to give my statement, they had a camera.
Oh, okay, all right, that's fine. You have permission to approach?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna show you what reports to do. You see this right here? your two-page statement, young man, okay? Okay, here you go. Is that a statement that you gave the Detroit police?
Can I read it?
No, I'm just look at the top and then look at the signature before you read it. Does it have your name on it?
Yes.
Does it have your signature on the bottom?
No.
Okay. Are there 2 pages?
Yes.
Can I see that? Is there a signature on the bottom of those 2 pages?
You said, ask me what is my signature.
No, look, young man.
Is
I just answered my
there a
question.
signature on the bottom?
And I'll fix it. So that is not your signature?
No.
Okay. And you do see there's a signature on those 2 pages, correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you give anybody permission to sign your name?
No.
Okay. So that we're clear, this 2-page statement is not you. Did you read it? Did you take the time to, did you tell the police any of the things that are contained?
All right, let them read the whole statement.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So just let them read the whole statement.
Yeah, that's what okay, I'm sorry, Judge. I got kind of knocked off my game. Thank you.
Yes, I did tell them that.
Hold on 1 second. Just wait. Yeah, wait for the question. Are you done reading it, young man?
Yes.
Okay, may I process the statement? So you see the things that are contained within the statement, correct?
Yes.
All right, and this is a statement that was taken on 5/26/20. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So did you talk to this officer, Detective Lane, on that particular day, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that was, there was a camera set up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me where the street light is located that you say you saw my client under.
It's on the corner of Blackmore and Hurst. It's on the left side.
And where in relationship to your car was that street light?
I'd say, like, diagonal, across, like, where I was sitting, you could see the street light.
Okay, and what side, what street, and don't think I'm being silly, does that street light sit on?
Blackmore.
Blackmore, right?
Yes.
And it's a corner light?
Yes.
But it was dark out there that night, correct?
Yes, it was nighttime.
I understand. And you indicated that, well, did you ever indicate to the police that Ace, who you call Ace right now, was over there shooting at the scene? Did you ever tell them he was shooting?
Yes.
Did you, okay, did you ever tell them first, before you identified Ace on the 26th, that you didn't know who the first person was?
No, I never said that.
But it's clear on that day, you did not give the name of Ace, Darnell, or anybody else at first, correct?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, on the scene, you're talking to first responding officers, correct?
Right.
And did you know they had body cams on?
Okay.
Did you see them? Okay. So they were asking you a series of questions, correct?
Yes.
About what happened, what might have led up to it, who might have done it, correct?
Yes.
And you wanted to give them the best information that you could, correct?
Yes.
All right. So when you were talking about 2 people, you said it was 2 people, correct?
Yes.
You don't know where they came from, but it's 2 people, correct?
Yes.
Right. And these 2 people, out of the 2, you only knew one of the persons, and you gave that person's name to the police, correct?
I knew who they both were.
I understand.
I didn't give them one, I gave them both of their names. Why would I give you one?
Okay, that's fine.
They both was there, that's crazy.
No, but that's not how this goes, sir. So if there's something you don't understand, hold
Hold
on one second.
Hold on, just, I need you to listen to a question, like I said when you first sat down, sir. Just listen to the question and answer the question. If she has, we all have a job to do. She gotta do her job, she has to ask certain questions. When things get out of hand, I'll say something. You've heard me speak up, right? We got certain rules called rules of evidence that we have to follow. When they cross that line, I believe someone's going across that line, I'm gonna stop them. All right?
Okay, I'm sorry. So I'm not trying to be argumentative with you. I'm just trying to ask questions, okay, because I wasn't there. Is that okay and fair? All right, so when you were talking to these officers at first, you always said Ace. Is that what you're saying? Was one of the two people out there shooting?
Yes.
Okay, and you never described Ace, the person right there, as being 5'4" or 5'6", correct?
Correct.
Wait a minute, and let's be clear. This is when the officers talk to you from homicide on the scene and the first responders on the scene. You never indicated that the person that you now identified as Ace was shorter and smaller.
Are you asking me, did I say that verbally out of my mouth?
Yes, I am.
No, they not even asked me.
Okay. All right. Now, let's be clear. Did your sister have a .38 gun out there that particular evening?
It was, I don't know if it wasn't out there, but she got one.
That's fine. And as a matter of fact, you told the police that your sister had a .38, right?
Right.
Okay. And let's just talk about Ace. They asked you, did you see Ace with a gun before? And your response was no, correct?
Right.
While you were fighting with Ace, you never saw him pull out a gun, did you?
No.
There would be no reason to, because you were fighting like men, right?
Right.
Okay. You didn't feel a gun on him while you were fighting, did you?
No.
And there was a young lady that was in the car that you said Ace got into, right?
Yes.
You said, did you say that was his girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know the girlfriend's name? Was it Taylor or no, you just said girlfriend?
I don't know her, man. I don't know her.
Okay. So the girlfriend's there, and then you're saying Ace, which is Darnell Robinson, from what you said, came back, right?
Yes.
But there was no Mr. Robinson, and you never had a problem before, right?
No.
Okay. And the fight happened how many minutes before this shooting?
It was no longer 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
It was no longer, I'll say 5 minutes, because we
Okay.
talked, and I was talking, I'm not sure the time, exact time.
That's fair.
But I know it wasn't that long.
Okay, so it wasn't that long. And whoever the shooters were appeared, stood under a light, and started firing in what direction, young man?
They started firing towards the front of my vehicle.
Were they?
They were standing on Blackmore and Eastwood, so this was that south.
I'm sorry, it was what?
I want to say shooting south, because if that's the north, it's the south.
Right.
They came from the north, so they started shooting toward Eastwood.
Okay. All right. And this shot, did you see it? You saw Ace, Mr. Robinson, stand in front of your car and shoot at you?
Yes.
What do you have on?
I'm not sure. It all happened so fast.
I know, I understand it happened fast, but you do have a sister, correct?
Yes.
Her name is Jamie, correct?
Yes.
And did Jamie do a little bit of Facebook sleuthing to find out who the second person could have been out there shooting?
I have no idea.
Did she ever present you with a picture?
No.
Just one second. I think I'm almost done here, just want to make sure. And so, and I want to be clear, I believe co-counsel asked you this question, and I wasn't clear. Did you ever tell the police that you must not have been clear in your telling of the events the night of this shooting?
I'm not understanding the question.
Did you ever tell any Detroit police officer or any officer that investigated the shooting, the unfortunate shooting of your sister, that you must not have, for just one second, that you may have been unclear and distraught in your telling of the events the night that all of this happened?
No.
You've never said that?
I know, I don't have them with me.
Okay. One second. I'm almost done. Okay, did you ever tell the police there was a black Chrysler 300 parked in the backyard of 18900 Blackmore?
Yes.
Okay, did you ever tell the police that there were 2 unknown black males and an unknown black female in the Chrysler?
No. I know who they were.
Thank you, I'm asking a question, I'm doing it for a reason, okay? Thank you. Okay. Did you ever tell the police you parked your dark blue GMC SUV on Eastwood, which would block the driveway, which ran into the backyard of Blackmore?
I told the detective that in my statement.
Okay. Did you ever tell the police that the black males and Mr. Mathis got into a verbal argument and that you were assaulted by a black male in an unknown manner? Yes or no, if you remember?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell the police approximately 10 minutes later, the Chrysler 300 returned and the occupants began shooting at the GMC?
No.
Because that would not have been true, correct?
Right.
Because,
I didn't see him.
right, you didn't see any vehicle.
Right.
Thank you. Did you ever tell the police that your vehicle was struck by multiple gunshots and became inoperable? And just take your time.
It didn't verbally come out of my mouth. I mean, it was self-explanatory.
Okay, thank you. If you could just say yes or no, I appreciate that. So would there be a no? No. Okay. Just 1 second. Could you tell me the build of the person that you saw outside that night shooting? The build.
Build a person.
Person. How about that, Judge?
All right.
I think I need to say it better.
Short.
Okay.
Afro, tall.
Wait. Short?
Yeah.
Yes, then yes.
Yes.
An afro?
Yes.
Okay, what else?
Kind of like medium build.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, hold on, medium build, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and would that be the first or the second person, if you know?
I mean, what is the first or second person?
Okay, that's fine, it doesn't matter. Okay, give me the description of the other person now.
Slim.
Okay.
Kind of tall.
Mm-hmm.
With dread.
With dread?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's go to the first description. Did you say a person was short with an afro, with a short afro? So when I say short. I mean height, so you said short,
Yeah,
okay, in height, with the short afro.
with an afro. I didn't say it was short, it was an afro.
Okay, I'm sorry, medium build, is that fair to say? All right. Okay, just one second. And lastly, Mr. Mathis, you're about what, 6'2", right?
Yeah,
Would you call me tall or not tall?
I'll call you average.
Really? Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm at, so you know between short, average, and tall, right? Short, medium, okay, all right. I'm glad I didn't ask you about my weight. All right, thank you, Mr. Mathis. You take care, and I don't have any other questions for you, sir. And good afternoon.
Just briefly, Judge, Mr. Mathis, you had said that your sister's house was on Blackmore, correct?
Yes,
That's in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne, correct?
yes,
Okay. And I believe you testified earlier that you spoke to the police on the day of this incident, is that correct?
yes,
And did you tell them who the shooters were?
yes.
Who did you tell them the shooters were?
We already gone through this.
Okay.
We need to hear it once.
Yes, Judge. I have no further questions.
Nothing?
You said nothing? Okay, good. Okay, we'll sit down. Nothing, Judge.
All right, thank you, sir. You can step down. Thank you very much.
And Judge, at this time, the people would call Darshina Hogan to the stand.
Okay, you want to approach?
Me?
All of it.
Oh, you know, I'm ready to figure out to get some water. I guess I will approach. Thank you, sir. Oh, how do we get over there, Judge? Oh, okay.
We'll make a lane.
We'll make a lane, or better do a bigger lane. Thank you, Judge.
You got one downstairs? No, I got this one for myself, but it broke. It kept breaking. Yeah, that's fine.
Excuse my cross. Thanks, I appreciate it. Huh? Wait a minute, one second, Jeff, I gotta get my client another mask, his mask is snapping off. I get it. Air. Just one second. Judge, is it okay if I give my client another mask?
Yeah.
Thank you. This nose is always, I told y'all, I'm a germaphobe. I got a mask everywhere. Wait a minute, don't take it off.
There should be cups in the top drawer.
Okay. Whew.
Sorry.
Too old for all of that.
I was like, here or at the top? No, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were waiting for you. I'm sorry.
You want to do it over there? Okay. I know that. That's why I bring my fan with me. Somebody from UTC is trying to call. They talk here right now.
Okay, I'm right here.
We should have her come over here.
Oh, CAR439, Hogan. Okay, thank you.
Right there. Make sure you get back just a little bit so we can turn the microphone. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God.
Yeah.
All right. And Ms. Hogan?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Hogan, you're gonna be asked a series of questions, right? First by the prosecutor, each of the defense attorneys will probably ask you a question, and I may or may not ask you a question, all right? I need you to answer those questions out loud verbally. Just can't say or say, or shake your head. Because everything's being transcribed. One lady over here, she's recording the proceedings, right? Also, when you ask the question, if you can, just listen to the question, answer that question and stop. If it's a yes or no type question, you can say yes or no and stop. Okay? We all have a tendency sometimes when we're telling about an event, especially an event that's been traumatic, we tend to ramble. We go on and on and on about it. Okay, if you do that, I'm gonna miss something. All right? If I miss something, I know make the right decision. Okay? That's why we proceed by one question, one answer, that way I can understand what happened. Okay? And if you can, you talk directly into the microphone. That will help amplify your voice. Okay? And if you need to stop, you need a break, just give my attention, wave at me, whatever, and we'll give you a break, all right? Thank you. May I proceed?
Can you please state your name? And Ms. Hogan, I'm going to take you back to the date of May 24th, 2020. Back on that date, were you at the area, in the area of 18900 Blackmore in the city of Detroit, County of Wayne? Yes. And do you know what that location is? Yes. What is that location? And what's your best friend? Okay. What were you doing at that location back on that day? And who all were you with? Can you say it one more time, please? Okay, were you with anyone else? Okay. Were you inside the location or where were you located? Where outside were you? Okay. And at some time while you're there, did some other people arrive? I'm sorry, could you say that again?
People were already there.
Who was already there? Okay. And I believe you first stated the person named Ace, is that correct? Yeah. And how do you know Ace? Okay, and how many times have you seen?
What did you say?
Did you say through Jamaica? Okay. And how many times had you seen Ace before? Would you recognize him if you saw him again? Yes. Okay, and who else did you see at the location? Yeah. And how long have you known Edward? And how do you know him? Okay, would you recognize him again if you saw him? Yes. And who else was at the location? And anyone else? Taylor. And who's Taylor? Okay. And what's going on at the, where is everyone located at this house?
I have no idea what she said.
I can, let me read.
She was asking a question. Was Wendy and Little James pulled up?
I meant, what time do you and James pull up to that location? Okay, and at some point, do those other people you mentioned arrive? They were already there. Okay. At some point, does an altercation ensue while you're there? Between who? Okay. And what happens after that altercation? Okay, I'm gonna back you up a little bit and kind of go through that a little bit more. At some point, do some people leave the location? I don't know about like the whole area. No. So you're outside of Jamaica's house, correct? Yeah. At some point, do individuals leave your vicinity, leave your area and go somewhere else? Yes. Okay, who leaves? And do you see how they leave? I'm sorry, could you say that again? Okay. And do you ever see them again? Yes. When do you see them again? Okay. I'm going to back you up a little bit more. At some point, do you get inside of James's, does James have a vehicle at the location? Yes. Okay. And what kind of vehicle was that, if you recall? Okay, and at some point, do you get into that truck? Yes. Who else in the truck? Me, passenger, Jimmy was behind me. Okay, and does something happen while you're in the truck? Yes. What happens? Judge, may I approach with paper towel? And Ms. Hogan, did you see who shot you? I don't know which was which. Yeah. Did you see some people outside of the vehicle on that day? Yeah. Did you see them, did they have anything in their hands? Yeah. What did they have in their hands? Yeah. And do you recognize the people that were outside the car with the guns? Yeah. Who were they? Okay, now if you can, are you able to look around the room today and tell me if you see anyone you recognize?
You can look around. You need to move your wheelchair so you can see better? No? Okay.
Oh my God,
And why would y'all do this?
Ms. Hogan, do you see anyone you recognize? And
Hogan?
Ms. Hogan, who do you recognize these people as? Do you know their names?
You can point to them and say who is who. Okay, can you do that for me, please? Edward, what is Edward wearing? Can you see? Yellow?
For the record, please reflect that the witness has identified Edward Florian.
Record for reflect.
No objection.
Anybody else that you recognize?
No objection, Your Honor.
Huh?
No objection.
Thank you.
First hand.
Thank you.
And Ms. Hogan, you had indicated that you were shot in the head, is that correct?
No, hold on. I forgot one I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Judge, the, people would ask the record reflect that the, witness identified, defendant Ronald Robinson.
She didn't.
Oh, I thought.
No, I said I only have one. I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge,
There
I misunderstood defense counsel.
I wasn't
Oh,
objecting.
I'm sorry.
We switched places on.
Oh, yeah. Ms. Hogan, do you recognize anyone else in the room? Could you point to who you recognize and describe what they're wearing?
You can't see them?
Forgive me, no.
No, I'm not gonna have nobody see them. We'll move her. Can you move her wheelchair around? You have the all green.
For the record, please reflect the witness has identified Edward Turner. For the record, please reflect that the witness has identified defendant Ronald Robinson.
I'll say yes.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
Record so reflect.
Ms. Hogan, you had indicated that you were shot in the head, correct? Could you tell us a little about the injury?
I'm sorry.
Yes, she had.
I have to put it into pages in my head. What else to say about the issue? Judge, and I really am sympathetic. I really am. But
Hold on, ma'am.
I'm trying to get a clear record without the emotion, and I am sorry. I can't really understand. I would object as to, narrative, and she's just talking without any question being put to her that's not relevant to trying to get this information out. And I am sorry she's going through that.
Well, she asked her, she said, the prosecutor asked her about being shot in the head, and she said that she had a bullet and 2 fragments in her head. What else did she say?
Okay, I didn't hear that. Thank you.
And Ms. Hogan, you're in a wheelchair today, is that correct? Were you in a wheelchair before this incident?
No.
And are there any other ways your health has been impacted after this incident?
It's irrelevant. Don't need to hear it.
Okay, sorry for that. I'd pass the witness.
Did she give a written statement at all? Did she give a written statement?
Are you asking me?
Yes, ma'am. I'm asking you, the prosecutor. Did she give a written statement?
No.
Okay. So, Ms. Hogan, I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'm going to try to ask you some questions, okay? All right. So, do you remember talking to the police when you were in the hospital? Yes or no? I'm sorry.
She said a little.
Okay, so they asked you who did this. Is it okay if I stand here? Thank you. Okay, so I'm over here to make it a little easier. I'm sorry, okay? But did they ask you who did this?
I'm sure.
Okay, and at the time you were at the hospital, you didn't identify Ace as a person that shot you, did you? Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. And so after, so you're sitting in this car, right? And then you were shot, correct? Okay, and at the time you were shot, were you in a conversation with anybody?
I was telling James to drive off. I was telling James to drive off.
Okay, all right, so, but were you talking to him before, or you just, that was the talk?
Yeah, after we put in the car, I told him to drive.
Put who in the car,
James.
Okay. Okay, so was he, oh, you put him in the driver's seat, correct?
Correct.
All right, and then you were in the passenger seat? Boy, okay, and then, and I promise you, I don't really want to ask you, but I have to, it's my job, okay? So when the shooting starts, were you in a conversation?
No.
No? No, okay. And do you know where the shooters were standing? I'm sorry, you said in front of the car?
Yeah, they was coming around.
So they were coming around, when you say coming around, were they walking?
Yeah.
Okay. And could you tell what they had on? Okay. And do you remember the police showing you a picture, and let's say of Darnell Robinson while you were in the hospital?
Yeah, they showed me pictures.
Okay. All right. And then when they asked you what did Darnell Robinson do, you said he was the one that had been fighting with James Mathis, but they didn't say little, they said James Mathis. Okay, so you said he had been the one fighting with James Mathis, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, you didn't say you saw him shooting, did you, at that time? That's okay. You know what? I don't have any. Well, hold on. And just so we're clear, you said that this person, Darnell, was at the house before you even got there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you pulled up. Okay. And then you saw him, and when we say him, I'm only talking about Darnell, you saw him and little James fight, James Mathis fighting, correct? Yeah? Okay. And,
they was jumping.
okay. I understand, but whatever Mr. Darnell Robinson did, let's talk about Darnell. Darnell and James Mathis, did they shake hands and go their separate ways?
No.
No?
No. After Darnell knocked James out 2 times.
Who did?
Darnell.
So Darnell won the fight?
Yes.
Okay, so he won the fight. I'm sorry, honey. Okay. Okay, when you say they, let's be clear, okay? And I know this is emotional, but I have to ask these questions, okay? When you say they still came and shot him, did you get a look at who you say is Darnell shooting at the time?
Yeah, I did.
You saw him, what kind of gun did he have? And you don't know what he had on? Did you ever describe the person that you saw shooting as being 5'6"? I'm sorry? Okay, but let me just look real quick. Hold on. Just one second. I'm almost done, believe it or not, young lady. Okay. So is it Darshina Hogan?
Yeah.
Okay. And you talked to the police at the hospital. Did you tell them that the person that you saw shooting was about 5'6"? Well, one of the people was 5'6", correct? Or no, you don't remember? Okay, that's fine. All right, young lady, just one moment, okay? And can we agree that this all happens relatively quickly? We did. Okay. And it's dark outside at the time because it's what, after 10, 11 o'clock at night? Okay, just one second. And when the shooting starts, do you duck down? I'm sorry, could you say that one?
I lean forward.
Okay, so you mean, okay, so you lean forward in a ducking manner? Okay, so this, okay, hold on. So just so the record can reflect, we have to say it like this, it seems silly. You move your head toward, would it be towards the front where the dashboard is, right? If you try, okay, trying to shield yourself on the poles, right? All right, young lady, hold on one second. All right, I don't have, oh, there you are. I don't have any more questions for you, Ms. Hogan, okay? All right.
No questions, Your Honor.
People have no further questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hogan. I'll take you back.
And Judge, people have no further witnesses at this time.
Great. Benson, any witnesses?
Not just, no, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Judge, at this time, the people would move to bind over the counts contained in the information. I know Your Honor heard the testimony of the two witnesses. Both of them came in here today and identified both of these defendants as the shooters. Mr. Mathis identified that he had previously spoken to police, and on the occasions when he spoke to police, he also identified both of these individuals as the shooter. In regard to count one, the premeditated homicide versus premeditation, the people do believe that they met their verdict to a probable cause standard. The testimony was that these two defendants stood in front of the vehicle and fired 15 to 20 shots as they stood 10 to 15 feet away from the vehicle. The time between those shots, as I know Your Honor is aware, would be the premeditation that the people are relying on. The thought and the intent between each trigger pull would be the intent formed for that count. As to counts 2 and 3, count 2, assault with intent to murder James Mathis, and count 3, assault with intent to murder Darshina Hogan. The people believe they met their proofs to a probable cause standard based on the same argument that the people just made, but for the fact that those individuals survived the shooting, whereas Ms. Fulton did not. In regard to count 4, the people presented the court with the register of actions for Mr. Robinson's prior conviction, and both the witnesses testified that they saw both defendants carrying guns. Therefore, the people believe they met their burdens for counts 4 through 8. And the people would ask the court to bind over the defendants on the counts containing information.
Judge, you heard his testimony, and the issue would be in the identification, and that's that really is. And so I would leave that to your discretion, but I think I'm going to have to take exception with what Ms. Bickerstaff said. She is an officer of this court. She has probably a little bit more information than I have. Consistently, the identification was not made of this man. Could you say it that please? That stands here today as a tall, big guy with tattoos and all that here. That has never been. As a matter of fact, there were, and I asked, he said here to remember, so that'll be for impeachment later. He gives the police descriptions of, he gives them a name of one and a description of the other person. The other person, we would say, would have been this person. And I think what happened is you just naturally presupposed this was a person that was out there, but the descriptions have never matched this man right here. Never, Judge. To a probable cause standard, and I see Ms. Bickerstaff writing that down. It is consistently in every report and we can start with the Detroit Police Investigative Report. We can go to the event report. We can go to the standardized team case note format. And we can also go to what one of the officers notated in his report with parentheses where you have Mr. Darnell Robinson with Bill. Bill, he doesn't match, but because this was said on this record, Judge, I'm going to sit down. I'm objecting because I didn't do that. But this is an identification case, at least as to my client. I only represent this one right here. And he had no reason, none, to go back there and do anything, but thank you.
Oh, yes, Your Honor, I was objecting going over, as to Mr. Robinson, Your Honor. For one, testimony was indicated that Mr. Thorne, I'm sorry, Mr. Thorne. Mr. Thorne.
You want me to move? I'm gonna stay in line with the CDC, hold on.
Okay.
You're trying to kill me. I'm fine, okay. Okay, I'm still moving.
As co-counsel has indicated, this is an identity case. But specifically, it was testified to that my client was highly intoxicated. So we don't believe that he had the necessary means of rea for murder one charge of this matter. So we would object on that ground and identification. And I believe
that defense based on alcohol or intoxication was abolished at least, I want to say 20 years ago.
Well, that's our argument, Your Honor. I will use wisdom and discretion.
Just briefly, Judge, I know Your Honor heard all the testimony, but Your Honor also heard Mr. Mathis repeatedly say Ace was the guy that shot him, and this defendant here is the guy he knows is Ace. But the people who believe they've met their burden for probable cause.
All right. The court, having heard the testimony, argument finds as follows. We first heard from Mr. James Mathis, who testified that on May 21st, 2020 was his birthday, that he was celebrating his birthday. He had been drinking. He drank about a pint of vodka. He was definitely intoxicated. Then he went to his sister's house over on Blackmore. And two people showed up. Two people he identified as the defendants. He called them Ace. He knew them as Ace and Edward. And Edward was David's sister. I had been David's sister. They went to the door, knocked on the door, there was no answer, they left, they then came back, they pulled up in the driveway, he just pulled up his truck behind them, locking them in. He said that Thornton came up to him, was drunk, seemed to be passed out in the car, that he then had some discussion with Mr. Robinson, who described it as Ace. They had words, ended up in a physical fight between the two. He said someone moved his car, at which point both Mr. Robinson and Mr. Thornton left in the vehicle they had arrived in. He then went around, his car was parked on the street, the side of the house. And he, Jamaica Fulton and Darcina Hogan were sitting in a car talking. He said it was only no more than 5 minutes. He turned, while he's talking to them, he's in the driver's seat. Hogan's in the passenger seat, and Fulton's in the back seat, passenger. He turns to look straight ahead, 10 to 15 feet away. He said he sees both defendants, both got guns and started shooting. Put the car in reverse. The car only went about 10, 15 feet before it stopped. He jumped out of the car, ran to a neighbor's house, and beat on the door. Didn't see the defendants again. They called 911. He went back to the car. both Ms. Hogan and Ms. Fulton were bleeding. Police came. He testified regarding the bullet holes, the gunshot wounds, and its the windows and the hood. He damaged his car, his sister, his whole died as a result of these gunshot wounds. Ms. Darshina Hogan also testified that on 5/24, she was at 18900 Blackmore. Who was Miss Hogan's home. She was his best friend. That when they got there, that Ace and Edward were already there in the area of the home. But there was a dispute between James, Edward, and Ace, and that Mr. Robinson, who she knew as Ace, actually won the fight and knocked James out twice. They were then sitting in the car herself. Miss Hogan and Mr. Mathis were all sitting in Mr. Mathis' car. That she looked up and saw persons who described as defendants, Ace with Mr. Robinson and Edward with Mr. Thornton, standing right in front of the vehicle. And she was telling James to leave, or whatever, to drive away. They started shooting, and she was shot in the head. I understand there was additional testimony are in cross-examination regarding the descriptions of the shooters. And that the one description given of a person 5'6", medium built, I assume it's supposed to be Mr. Robinson, the person we call Ace, and that description does not match him. But, this is still a probable cause hearing. And because they identified both of them in court, both witnesses identified, pointed to both of these gentlemen and said they were the ones that did it, that's more than enough. The rest of it is going to be left up to the ultimate trier fact, whether it be judge or jury that hears it. They have to make that determination of whether that, whether the totality of the circumstances, the conditions under which, everything happened this evening, including Mr. Mathis being intoxicated, from the sounds of it, drunk, and I guess Mr. Thornton was drunk. I don't know if Mr. Robinson was too, but from the sounds of it, he may have been, I don't know. But it's more than enough to bind over on the charges that we have before the court now. Court finds those felonies in the city of Detroit, probable cause of discharge both of these gentlemen. So we found over the Wayne County Circuit Court Criminal Division for reading on the information, which will be January 29th, 2021 at 9:00 a.m.
Judge,
All right. Go ahead.
can the people address bond?
Sure.
Thank you, Judge. So as your honor is aware, this exam was originally set in October, but I had potential COVID exposure and had quarantine, so I couldn't make it to the court due to the quarantine period. So your honor had indicated that you were gonna lower the defendant's bond because of the length and time that this was gonna be drawn out due to scheduling issues. Your honor has now heard the facts of the case. There were one victim passed away due to her injuries. One victim has a bullet lodged in her brain and has health issues. People do believe that these two defendants are a danger to the community and would ask your honor to remand both defendants. As to Mr. Robinson, he does have a prior carry concealed weapon conviction and continues to carry weapons illegally and improperly. The people do believe that he is a danger to the community based on this situation being over a car being parked in and he shot at a vehicle, endangering the lives of 3 people and anyone else that was in the area. Additionally, as to defendant Thoran, While this was not evidence that was presented to your honor, I do believe it can be taken into consideration as bond. The bullets that were collected from this case did not even hit to another homicide from 2018, where the shooter was identified as E-Dub. That was the nickname the victim gave to the shooter, and is the nickname that the police know of Edward Thorin. So the people do believe that Mr. Thorin is a great deal threat to the community. And after the 2008 homicide, one person was killed and 2 to 3 others were injured due to the shooting, which is similar circumstances as we have here, where a group of individuals were shot up and one individual was murdered. So the people would ask your honor to remand both these defendants as they are a great threat to the community.
Do you want to start with me or?
No, ma'am.
Judge, may I please? First of all, we know that my client is indigent and he can't go anywhere, right? With whatever the bond that was posted, okay? Second. And as I say this, please, everybody bear with me. When Ms. Bickerstaff was making the argument, my knees started shaking and I said, they got cold. Let me tell you why. Knowing everything that this prosecutor knows about this case, knowing that as to Mr. Robinson, and of course, we're talking about the description never matched. The name was never given until some days later when there was a person identified as Jamie Fulton who looked on Facebook to try to find the people that were fighting, not shooting. So this was extrapolation. I asked specifically, Mr. Mathis, did you see that car pull back up there? Well, Judge, as an officer of this court, there was a search warrant that was signed by a circuit court judge with that information in there. And why is that important? That's the only link to him. If there's no car that pulls up back on that scene that they saw him in, he doesn't match the description. But that's what we have here, right? We have a whole social movement right now on these kind of issues. I only speak for my client right here, right? We see what happens in the justice system, how things are unequal to this minute. We see from the insurrection, the treasonous behavior at the Capitol, that this is not equal justice here. The country is not equal in level. And let me just say this, Ms. Bickerstaff has done a disservice when she stands up here and she knows what she knows because it's in there in the investigative report, and she still proffers these kind of arguments. But see, when you don't love or like what you charge, that's how you get here.
Your Honor, object to the personal attacks. If we could stick to the facts of the case, that'd be great.
And Judge, I'm sorry, I told you I was gonna be emotional. So Judge, I'm objecting. You want to move that bond for what reason? To be vindictive, Judge. That's what we would say. You know everything that you have. This man is gonna have to sit in a jail for God knows how long until we can get to a trial. And Ms. Diallo, I'm not arrogant. I'm not gonna say, hey, I've never told any of my clients I'm gonna walk you out that door. I've never said that. But let me tell you this, Judge. There is such a great chance I'm gonna walk this one out because that would be justice. So Judge, at this time, I would object. I'm not even going to say, because he can't even make the bond. I'm not asking you to change the bond, right? You did what you did, okay? I'm going to say it is punitive at this particular time for this government official to get up and say, I want a remand. Understanding the pandemic is still in existence. There were accommodations made for her. So I'm just saying the accommodations that were made for her, those things, there's a bond. There's been no indication that there's been any violation. That's not in my argument of the bond, but I'm gonna sit down here, Judge, but it's just offensive. Thank you.
Anyone, anything to add?
Of course, I would have got Madam Co-Counsel Department, Your Honor. And specifically, though, Mr. Thoran has no prior police record, Your Honor, whatsoever. whatever case, Madam Prosecutor is talking about, I never heard of it until now, and he's never been charged. He's never been charged, so Your Honor, this is out of the blue, and my client, you gave him $100,000 cash bond with a teller, a stay-at-home teller, and he has not violated in any such way, Your Honor. And we think that going for the remand at this point would be punitive, and we see how little they simply knew the charges when we made the bond. So, like I said, my client has no prior, none whatsoever, Your Honor, and there's been no indicia of him violating the terms of his release. So as such, Your Honor, we respectfully ask that the bond remain.
Yes, just if I could bring respond. Judge, these defendants are now in a different position than they were when you first addressed them. Initially, when you first addressed them in October, they were facing allegations in district court. They had been arraigned on the warrant and they had a PCC. At this point, Your Honor has heard the testimony. They have now been bound over to circuit court. I believe the potential for a flight risk is much greater as now they've been bound over. 2 individuals have come before Your Honor today and pointed out both of these individuals as the people that shot them. I do believe that they're being to society and face the penalty they're facing that they have now been bound over on. The severity of that, along with the flight risk, as Mr. Thorne is just out on the tether. So the people do believe that.
Well, Mr. Thorne is on house arrest. It's not just out on the tether.
That's correct, Judge.
My order says $100,000 cash fine with GPS tether, house arrest. So the only time he can leave that house is basically to come here, come to court. That was my order, and obviously he hasn't violated it, but he hasn't been back in front of.
Yes, Judge, the people do believe while he didn't violate it up to the point of this exam, now that he's been bound over and is going to be in felony circuit court and has heard the allegations and the witnesses come before him and point him out, the people do believe that this is we are now in a different situation where a remand would be appropriate due to the allegations, the nature of the circumstances that Your Honor has heard, and the other matters that I told you I believe are a danger to the community, and there is now a greater potential for a flight risk at this point.
All right. I amended those bonds back in October 22nd, 2020. I think I said it then. I'll say it again now. And I've never on a first degree murder case done anything but remand. I've always done remand. But we've never had the circumstances under which all of us are living now. Before either. The whole thing with COVID and the pandemic and how it's affecting society and how it's affected these courts. This court, circuit court, etc. So I lowered the bond then, knowing what the charges were. The charges haven't changed. I knew what the charges were then. Trust me, I've been doing this over 35 years. So yeah, I knew what they were then. I know what they are now. At this point, I'm not going to amend the bond. I'm going to leave it as the same. I want to ask one question though. Mr. Thorne, do you have a passport? No, I do not have a passport. All right. All right. So the moment Mr. Thorne steps out of his house when he's not supposed to, Wayne County will come down on him and find him. And he'll be stuck in Wayne County jail. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Robinson evidently does not have the same assets or support, let's put it that way, that Mr. Thorne has, and he's in. You know, I'm not gonna lower his bond.
No, you said no.
I'm done. But I do agree to to a large, extent, some of, counsel's arguments. I've been in this business over 35 years. I've been a judge over about 15 years. And the injustices I've seen, let's just say they're numerous. As a judge, I try to be as fair as I can, to both sides. I can be a pain in the butt to both sides, I know that.
Yes, sir. But it's
And
equal.
sometimes I am, but I try to be an equal pain in the butt. For the prosecution and the defense.
That's called justice, Judge.
I hope so. At this point, I'm leaving it by as it is. The bind over date is the 29th at 9 o'clock.
Very well, thank you.
Oh, Madam Prosecutor?
So even if, no, you wouldn't even testify on,
I can't talk to him.
Okay. You know, and these are different times. My phone rang and I saw my daughter call, right? Immediately, you can't tell, because it's like, are they, safe? Are they safe? 2021. First time my daughter ever called in Glenwood was, at school, last year, the trial. Right. So, she's 16.
Everyone that's still on Zoom, that concludes our docket for the day. I'm ready to close everything out.
I'm getting my stuff on here.